And we are live. Welcome back to the trading show here on Sin City Crypto. My name is David. Today's show, we're going to be hunting for shorts. And as I mentioned in the morning show, maybe the chart's telling us it's time to long. I don't know. Everything I'm seeing, it's time to short. We are currently in a short, a Bitcoin short. We told our Discord members here yesterday, barring the announcement, but the announcement was nothing. And so, yeah, the short was entered. 112.9 was our open. Currently in the profit, around 18%. Let's take a peek, actually. This one up 18%. This is a 20x short position on Bitcoin with a stop loss set at 114,650. We'll get into the chart here in a second. Also, I mentioned during the morning show, I was going to talk about a Solana project that could have Aster vibes to it. It was reposted by Anatoly, the founder of Solana. I was trying to find that post, but it looks like he took it down. Either way, it's got a lot of hype. It's a very recently launched, and we'll talk about that, and we'll break that down. So welcome. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe to the channel. Let's talk about this Bitcoin short we're in. And then we'll get into BTC. Excuse me. We'll get into the rest here. So this is Bitcoin on the 10. Let's go to the daily. Now, I mentioned in the morning show, CryptoFace, which I value, respect, and love his takes. I think he's usually pretty spot on. He's turned a little bearish on the higher time frames, and well, you can kind of see why. Now, I will say 111.9 seems to be holding. As you can see, this is kind of where Bitcoin chopped for around a week until we saw that big breakout, topped that around 116.9. And this is where we are currently trading right now. If you look at the cloud, very easy way to see whether the trend is. Trend is obviously down, right? We broke below the cloud. We came in, attempted to retest. Now, the one thing that will kind of solidify is this 26 MA crossover, right? The 26 crossing above our 9-day moving average. So that red line, our baseline, crossing above our conversion line, which is that blue line, currently sits at 114.7. Our 26-day sits at 112.619. So I think that would be, I don't want to say the nail in the coffin, but that would be the final kind of indication that probably have a little more downside to go. Now, the important level here, my friends, is going to be 110.766. Again, this is where Bitcoin kind of catapulted. Below that, looking at between 107.1 and 108.3. Below that, 105.8 is pretty strong. As you can see how price has reacted in these areas, right? Resistance, support. On the way back up, resistance, support on the retest until we had that launch. And then after that, it's 100K. And then I don't really want to talk about the sub 100K. Magic kind of went over that on the morning show. And so the TP level I am targeting for this Bitcoin short is 108 to 110.7. Now, I have some at 110.7, not all of my position, to be exited at 110.7. And then depending on how price action is and some of the other indicators that I like to use, I'll take a peek at whether I need to move that TP down further or if I need to close out my remaining position at that 108.371 level, which is very key. Also, the one thing I will say on a more macro side, Bitcoin is well above its 200-day moving average. Top end of our ribbon here is 105. Bottom end is 102.1. And so that would be, and I know I mentioned that 9-day cross or that 26-day crossing above the 9-day would be that final indicator. But I really think losing to 200 MA, I think at that point, talking about is a cycle over, I think has a lot more legs to it than not. I do want to note, though, we did cross below that 200 MA once this cycle already, which was back here. This was back in April of this year. This ended up being a deviation, turned into a little bit of a inverse head and shoulders pattern. So you can see, right? That's your MA, your left shoulder, your head, your right shoulder, and then that breakout. And so could we see if the 200-day loses, if we lose the 200-day, can we see a similar setup in terms of some sort? Maybe it's not an inverse head and shoulders. Maybe it's a cup and handle. Maybe it's a bull flag. I don't know. Well, probably not a bull flag. But either way, we're eyeing the 200 MA. We're eyeing the 9-day crossing, or the 9-day crossing below the 26-day. So these are all things we're watching. Also, if you open up Market Cipher B, which if you don't have Market Cipher, I highly recommend it. I know it's a little bit of a higher ticket price item, but it's well worth the money from my personal experience. So this is kind of what CryptoFace was mentioning. I think it was on the weekly. He talked about bearish crossover on the VWAP and this potential anchor trigger wave short setup. Now, we have to wait until this candle closes, which is in about 6 days, 5 days, right? Sunday evening at around 5 Pacific. If this red dot remains, then this is a anchor wave, trigger wave short, which from my personal experience of trading the strategy is very efficient. Probabilities are very high that it's going to go that way. And so we'll be eyeing this as well. So if you do have Market Cipher B, throw on your weekly and watch this trigger wave, whether that whether that red dot is going to remain or whether it's going to go away. Again, we don't want to front run this because this could very well go away. I learned that the hard way. I tried to front run a green dot on an anchor wave, trigger wave long, and then ended up getting wrecked because I entered before the candle closed. And so on the weekly, putting in a lower low, right? This is the low I wanted to hold, was around 115.9. Current low is around 108.3, 107 to 108.3. So that needs to hold. If we lose that, then you're talking about putting in consecutive lower lows, which typically signifies a shift in the trend. As you can see here, the trend on the weekly, trend-based trading is still up. On the macro, we're still putting in higher lows, right? Here's your low, here's your higher low, here's your higher low, and here's your higher low. So if we lose 107, let me zoom in here a little bit. Let me clean up the chart just a tad. Okay, we'll get rid of our fib retracement. 108.371. If we lose 108.371, then at that point, I think on the weekly time frame, the higher time frame, it is downtrend is confirmed. But we're still not there yet. So this thing could reverse. But at the time, at the moment, I am hunting for shorts, and Bitcoin is currently dropping 111,690. And I want to say, did it log me out? It did not log me out. Let's refresh. Oh, that's weeks. Let's go here. So this short is currently up 22%. 111.7 is where Bitcoin currently stands. And so until we see some sort of change on maybe the daily or the 8 hour or the 4 hour, structurally, maybe we retake this cloud on the daily. You go down to the half day. Half day, we just got that crossover. 26-day crossed above our 9-day, which is bearish. We're currently, candle hasn't closed yet, right? Candle closes in about 5 hours and 15 minutes. We've lost our 200 MA on the 12-hour time frame. Fairly bearish if you take a look. Let's look at Market Cipher B on the 12-hour. Looks like we're probably going to put in a higher low on the momentum waves. And the oscillators are telling us that the bearish trend continues. The bears are in control, although that stochastic is starting to flatten out just a little bit. But the interesting thing here, my friends, is money flow looks like it's starting to curve up. VWAP was trending towards our zero line, breaking to the upside. But it looks like it's starting to inwardly curve, and could it flatten out and go back down? Potentially. These are all things, again, that we want to keep our eye on. And then I also like to take a look. Let's get rid of our MA ribbon. Let's get rid of our cloud. Let's throw on Market Cipher A. Market Cipher A on the 12-hour just flipped bearish, as you can see here, going from a light blue shaded ribbon to a dark gray shaded ribbon. As you can see here, that flip, when it happened, Bitcoin saw a little bit of a rally, trapped the bulls, came all the way back down to 107.9 from 116.9, and we just had that flip again. So again, expecting more downside for BTC. You had your first indication of a potential short here. Red X on the Market Cipher A. Baby Blood Diamond on the weekly. First one we've seen since the week of August 18th. After that Baby Blood Diamond, Bitcoin continued to fall around 5% before failing to make a new high and take out that weekly open on the 18th, which sat at around 117.3. It got there on a wick, but not on a close. You want to see those taken on a close, and it hasn't happened. So yeah, short I think it's going to print. Then we're going to make some money on it. We're looking to target 110.1 or 110.2, I think I said, on a partial take profit. And we'll see at the rest how the price action plays out. But I'm curious, the people watching, are you guys leaning more bearish or more bullish on your price action and expectations of how Bitcoin's going to perform? Put a 1 for bullish, put a 2 for bearish. I want to know what you guys think. Let's look at the bubbles. Not the bubbles. Look at this. So let's just kind of skim through the top 10, and then we'll sort this off for 24-hour. And I want to look at the 90-day as well. Obviously, we talked about Bitcoin. ETH holding above 4,000, 41.52, down 7% on the week. XRP, regardless of whether Mr. Garlinghouse got married or not, is down to $2.84, 7-day down 6.3%. On the daily is down. Well, not really down. It's essentially flat. Solana, $216.54. Doge, 24 cents. Tron holding steady at the number 9 spot, 33.5 cents. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Tron rally. Sun, what is that dApp called? Sun, let's find out real quick. Sun, it's called Sun. Sun's been kind of rallying over the last 24 hours, $145,000 in fees. Over the last 7 days, $625,000, the leading protocol in terms of fees paid and fees generated. And so I wouldn't be surprised. We saw with Aster how the allocations, right? The holdings, very centralized to the top 10 wallets. In fact, I'll just show you guys what that even looks like. It's pretty nasty, but that's what allowed it to just have an astronomical run. You take a look at the, oh, this one doesn't, I thought this one had a rich list. Okay, this one didn't have a rich list. I think, let's take a peek, see if we can find it on Dex Tools. Let's go to BNB, and then we'll go to Aster. We'll go down here and we'll take a look at holders. So you have almost 50% of holders. And you can see this is I believe this is the Team Wallet contract creator. You have this one who holds around 20%. Let's see if this wallet is identified. This one doesn't have any tags on it, but I'm assuming this one is either Binance or this one is multi-chain portfolio. This is probably Binance. It's probably a Binance hot wallet, although it's not labeled. And so for Aster, sitting at $3 billion, you take a look, market cap wise, and we can go through market cap here. 800 million to 3 billion. Massive rally, just blew into the top 100. And has been rallying since. You've seen a little bit of this was a copycat of MYX, so we're going to see more copycats probably. Can Sun be one of them? I believe it can. Can the Solana project I'm about to show you? Yes. Can one on Avalanche that I shared with our Patreon members? Yes. And those are ones that our Patreon members got as far as the AVAX ecosystem. But I think getting into Aster now, YOLOing in Aster, I think is a bad move. Could be wrong, like I was with Hyperliquid, but this thing has already ran massively, and so I think the risk versus reward to me is not there currently. And then Cardano running out the top 10. Cardano was up 44% on the 90-day, down 7 on the weekly, down 1 on the 24-hour. Currently sitting still at 29 billion in market cap. Okay, I'll get into. I'll do a Solana chart. I'll do an AVAX chart. I know Magic did one earlier. I'll do one myself. I saw Kronos. I'll do one on Kronos. But I want to talk about this new Solana coin. It's Quanto. Now, I've done some surface level kind of research on it. Right? Not enough to YOLO in a crap load of money. Fairly new, sitting at 28 million market cap. Zoom into the daily. 47.5 million volume. Circulating supply looks like it's 100% circulating. And again, it's a Solana project. Quanto is a Solana native perp dex, over 500 pairs listed to trade and everything available as collateral. Use your on-chain holdings, alts, memes, NFTs, and even Radium LP tokens as collateral. So very interesting. This is their user interface. Very similar to this, which is by DeFi. Very similar to this, which is Weeks. Which, by the way, if you want to support the channel, there's 2 links in the description, Weeks and by DeFi. Feel free to pick whichever one you'd like. You'll be supporting the channel either way. But very similar UI UX, which I think is very important. I've said this time and time again, you want to onboard people, give them what they're used to from a UI UX standpoint. If all of a sudden Apple decides to completely change their UI UX and user experience, I bet you a lot of people are going to be pissed. When I swapped from Android to Apple, it was definitely a learning curve. It was a little different. It was a little uncomfortable. And then once you get used to it, it's kind of hard to go back. It's kind of hard to see that massive change. And so again, Quanto news. So you take a look here. It's had a massive rally. This token started trading in on the 17th of July. It got as high as 7.8 cents market cap wise. Let's take a peek. It got as high as $74 million, currently sitting as sub 30 million. And you take a look at the holder distribution. So you have the 4 large wallets here, okay? So collectively, 20, that's 40, that's 50, that's around 53%. Let's take a look. The 20% wallet, one of them is their reserve wallet, Quanto Reserve Wallet. So this is the team, as you can see here. It is identified. The next 20% is the Quanto Team Wallet. Again, obviously, the team, okay? The 9% is their custody wallet, which I'm assuming is, and I could be wrong, I'm assuming it's all the collateral they're holding on behalf of people, right? They talk about altcoin collateral, meme collateral, NFT. That's probably what it is, and obviously their own token, Quanto. And the last one is Radium, right? This is their LP, the liquidity. And so when we look at a project like Aster, very concentrated in terms of the holders versus how much of the supply those holders hold. Now, normally this is not a good thing, right? But when it comes to massive pumps, it sure does help because there's less potential tokens to be sold. I can argue, although not to the same level as Aster, I think Quanto could potentially have the same opportunity that Aster did. And if we take a look at the Quanto chart, although there's not a lot of price action, obviously, we can zoom into maybe the 10-minute here. Looks like the 10-minute just flipped. Blood Diamond on the 10-minute on Market Cipher A. And you can see just the gain from, so this 175% gain, all given back plus some. Looks like it's found a bottom at around 2.38 cents, which is above its kind of lowest point prior to this rally, which it kind of came into a little bit of an inverse head and shoulders pattern here, right? Shoulder, head, this is a little bit of a shoulder, and then that push to the upside. Take a look at Market Cipher B. Looks like our momentum indicators are starting to turn to the upside, right? You have your RSI and your stochastic starting to point up. Massive oversold momentum wave to the upside. To the downside, though, put in a lower, or to the upside, excuse me. To the downside, though, put in a lower. Now, this could be, guys, this actually, as we're watching it now on the 10-minute, this could turn into, so this was a short anchor wave, trigger wave setup, right? You have your anchor wave here, red dot. Trigger wave, it's very small, but you can see it right there. Trigger wave, green dot. That's your trigger wave for a short entry. Now we could be seeing the opposite. Let me get rid of some of these drawings. Now you could be seeing the opposite, where we have our anchor wave and maybe a double trigger wave. And so again, this is on the 10 minutes, so just keep that in mind. We zoom out to maybe let's go to the 30-minute time frame, see if we're seeing anything here on the 30-minute. Get rid of some of these brush strokes. $30-minute potential bearish crossover. We want that blue to stay above that red, my friends. We want that 9-day to stay above our 26-day. But cloud is still green. Price is still trading above the cloud, which is bullish. I'm hoping these revert or these diverge, right? This goes that way. 9-day goes this way. And then we avert a potential bearish crossover on the Ichimoku cloud. We can throw on our, let's throw on our volume range profile. Tons of bits coming in at around 3.95. We'll call it 4 cents. And you can see they've been sellers. So far, they've been sellers. You can see on the bottom here, this is why volume is so important. 2 large volume nodes. That is exactly where support and resistance was, right? So keep in mind, if price does come back down here, if you're looking to leverage trade this thing, I would be interested in potentially longing this, and I'll be interested in potentially shorting that 4 cent level yet again unless we see something fundamentally change. Bearish VWAP on the 30-minute, bullish money flow, bearish momentum oscillators, and so a little bit of mixed signal. Let's go to the 1 hour. A little bit of indecision in the market from our spinning top here. Now there's still around 4 minutes left till this candle closes. So it's essentially, I like to tell people this is a tug of war. But this, what you see here, this is not what you want to see. A 135% rally in an hour, and then just give it all back in the next hour. So I'm assuming this thing is heavily manipulated. But just keep that in mind. But from a fundamental standpoint, if you want to try to take a risk on the meta of perp dexes on chains that are hot, we saw Solana start to run. We see Pump.Fund come to life. This might be a decent opportunity, although I'll tell people proceed with caution. So Quanto was the one that I kind of briefly mentioned during the morning show that I didn't have time to get into, but there you go. So keep your eye on I think it was a 10-minute for that short setup, for that long setup on the anchor wave, trigger wave. This one has around 3 minutes left, so we'll see if we get there. Right now we have that green dot printed. Let's see if that green dot remains. If it does, long. If it doesn't, then we just wait and see. If we do end up getting that long, I would look to exit before we hit that 4 cent region. Do a little bit of a higher leverage, yeah. Okay, let's take a peek at Avalanche because it's on the thumbnail. AVAX is an ecosystem that I'm fairly bullish on. That's the 10-minute. Looks disgusting. That is absolutely what is that? Let's zoom out to the daily. Let's start on the daily here for AVAX. And candles tell stories, you guys. Okay, I like to look at candles on their own. I like to look at candles in a pattern, and they tell a story. Okay, this candle tells us a story that the bears had control yesterday, and the bulls came back. 26-day held. We broke above, reclaimed our 9-day, and we closed above. We engulfed, essentially, as you can see here. This candle engulfed the previous 2 days, very bullish. Increased volume, very bullish. So Avalanche is one of the few charts that I'll be looking to actually long on potential pullbacks. And let's go ahead and just clean up the chart a little bit, and then we'll get into let's draw our fib on this move, right? The breakout from the top end of our cloud. Let's identify our 50. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Trading can be very hard. Trading can be very simple, right? We as humans tend to overcomplicate things, myself included. I talk about the 50 all the time. And guys, the fib is a free indicator. Fibonacci retracement. That's what it looks like right here. Take it from where the breakout started at an important support level, draw it to the wick high, and then find your 50% fib level. Majority of the time, I want to say like 70, 72% of the time, you get a retest of that 50, and then we get a positive reaction to the upside, which is exactly what we got. You would have entered on 29.60, and if you timed the top exactly, you would have cashed out at $36. Multiply that by whatever leverage you degenerates like to use, myself included. I'm very degenerate. Showed you a 20x Bitcoin short. And we're making money, right? So we talk about, well, how do we make money in a choppy market? How do we make money when the prices are down? This is how you make money. Part of it is trading. Part of it is identifying key support and resistance levels, knowing how to draw a simple Fibonacci, and identifying key levels. To me, 50% level is where it's at. Also, the 236, seeing a little bit of support. We came back. We closed at the we opened at the 236. And then this one, we wicked down to the 236 on today's candle. And what I like to see, again, I mention this all the time, is I love seeing increasing volumes on these moves up. That tells me there is actual momentum and velocity in the moves. As you can see, again, volume continues to rise as the price of Avalanche rises. So if you're always unsure about, well, the trend, how strong is the trend, where is it going, just take a peek at volume. It'll tell you a lot. It'll tell you a lot. All right. Shout out to those of you that are in here. Make sure to hit the like, subscribe to the channel, have a notification bell on. I think I'll be going live tomorrow as well on the trading show. But we do our morning show Monday through Friday, 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So just put that into your schedule so you can come catch the news and then come catch some of the trades later. So AVAX trade setup. This is one of the few. Again, I'm hunting for a long 29.58. In fact, let's go ahead and put in a limit order on AVAX. I'm going to go limit. This one, I feel comfortable going at 20x. We're going to go 29.60. Want to front run it just a little bit. 29.60 limit order, isolated, yes. And we're going to, I got to put in margin. Okay, let's go 300, long. Beautiful. So that's in. Short on Bitcoin is printing. We'll do the same on weeks. Put in a long there as well. We'll keep it at 20. 29.60. And we'll do 120 on this one. And you guys see, just always double check. Make sure you're not in cross unless you really want to be, which I wouldn't recommend. And then make sure that you are limit and you're on the right app. So we have an AVAX long limit order set right now. Now, if sentiment changes, all of a sudden we see everything dropping, bearish news comes out, yada, yada, we might just cancel the order or wait to see what price action does. But I feel fairly confident if we do come back and retest, we should see another strong bounce here for AVAX. Let's look at the weekly. Can argue the weekly is a little more bearish, right? Let's get rid of that. Weekly rejection on the cloud. Okay, so bullish, we just flipped on market cipher A from bearish to bullish, okay? As you can see here, we went from dark gray to light blue. This is what you want to see, but a little bearish in one. Where's our 9? Okay, our 9 is trading above our 26. Great. Cloud is still red and thick, and we got a rejection right at the top of that cloud. And so if you're looking for, in my opinion, the absolute worst case scenario, if the price continues to go down, I would target the bottom end of this cloud. Which, depending if it goes there now, which we kind of already got there, is 28.55. If it happens over the next, I don't know, middle of October, you're looking at 27.74. If we lose that, then I guess we can say that trend has changed. But AVAX, weekly, we need to break out. We're seeing increasing volume on the weekly as well. Let's take a look at what market cipher B is telling us on the weekly. Weekly looks great. Inward curve on that VWAP as it was trending down. That looks like it's reversing. Money flow is expanding. Our RSI and our stochastic indicators are both trending up, and it looks like we're going to put in a higher high from December of last year on our momentum waves, which would also be very bullish. So momentum tells us we should see the structure change on the weekly in terms of the cloud. So we should see a breakout. Hopefully we see a retest at 35.21. And then let's take a peek and see if we can identify any high volume points here on the weekly, which I don't think it'll show us. Let's take a peek. Zoom out to the daily. Okay, so we have two big high volume points on the daily, which you can throw it on your weekly as well. One is at $45 even, literally $45 even. 70 million AVAX was sold, but the bigger one was our cycle top, currently at $55.80, around 150 million. So a little more than double the amount of AVAX that was sold at 45 was sold at 55. And so I'd be eyeing those levels for take profit if this AVAX long does end up filling. But to me, it's a wait and see. It's a wait and see. And but daily looks great. 4 hour. Four hour looks fine. Let's look at the 1 hour. One hour's okay. Did put in a lower low. There's our low. There's our lower low. Barely, right? Now it's a little hard to see. But trend is still up according to market cipher A. No real indication. We did get a red X. It's not a blood diamond level of, oh my God, you need to get out of a long. You need to go ahead and two-handed short this thing. But it's still something to know. And so, yeah, 1 hour looks great. Daily looks good. Weekly, we want to break above that cloud and retest as support. So AVAX, but the ecosystem is where to watch, my friends, right? We can make some money on trading AVAX, the native token, but we're going to make a lot more money digging into that ecosystem. Okay. And again, for the Patreon members, there's a few that I shared with you. Hopefully you guys do your own research, take the information I've given you and expand on it. Mike Volmer said, Gina, change the background from red to green to help the markets pump. I don't know if that's going to help, Mike, but if Gina wants to try it, she can. Okay, let's take a look. I know people mentioned Kronos. Now, Kronos was a long that I got slapped on. It was a long I lost money on. Let me clean up the chart here. This is ugly. So, yeah, I think I entered. Let me take a peek. Here we go. Kronos. Kronos. We got liquidate. So we entered at 23.1. We entered like right here, and you know, looking at this and seeing how we were getting bounces, and well, you know, on the daily, our sick, you know, the one thing that I think it was on the weekly, we might have seen was it on the weekly that we saw a blood diamond, or it was one time frame, I believe we saw a blood diamond. But anyways, yeah, we lost money on this trade on Kronos. Looks like the 786 is holding. To 20.5 cents on Kronos. Let's see some high volume points here. 6 cents. Yeah, we're not going that low. Let's get rid of that. We got a bearish break on the cloud too, man. And looks like we're about to twist on the ribbon here. The market cipher ribbon. Market cipher A ribbon. In fact, I think it already twisted. It did. Yep. Well, market cipher 8 tells us we're in a bear trend on Kronos. Ideally, the 786 holds. If it doesn't, I mean, I'll show you the gaps that we I haven't seen this, but I'm assuming there's been a lot of gaps. So let's see where our gaps are. Well, we have one big gap here. Let me drop some flags so you guys can see. 16 and 19 and a half cents is our fair value gap on the move up. And so if we lose our 786, let me do one more thing. Let me throw on my volume range. I mean, this is just we have a volume node at the 786, and then it's just dead space, right? Nothing. This is the abyss until we get to, what do you know it? The gap. So if we lose 20 and a half cents, I believe we're going down at around 16 and a half cents, which at that point, potentially looking at long Chronos as volume starts to tick up, as you can see here, ultimately reaching a pinnacle in terms of volume at around 14 and a half cents, which would be shitty because that means the entirety of this gain, the entirety of this move would have been given up, right? This beautiful 140% move would have been given up on Chronos if we go back down to those levels. I don't think we are, but hey, you never know. So for me, yeah, man, I mean, this one I think is a little too late to short unless you see something like on macro in the markets. And yeah, someone said, do you have any spare ribbons? I don't. I use them all in the chart ribbons. So that's Chronos. Chronos, I guess I'm more interested in longing this gap here, 16 cents, than I am longing the 786. Gold pocket failed, 50 failed. 786 should hold, but if it fails, you're getting a sub 20 cent down to around 16 and a half, I personally believe. Okay, let's take a peek at Solana. Lost to 9, lost to 26. This is on the daily. Good news is we have some confluence here at around 204. Let me actually this level here. This box here is where I'm interested in potentially longing. And if we kind of stretch this out, you can see resistance, resistance, support, resistance, support, and takeoff. Last bounce was from $200 to 253. And so Solana, another potential chart that I'm looking to long. If we get that bounce at that, and I'll drop some flags here for you guys, between 199 and 206. So we're not too far off, around $10 off from the top end of our range. Around $15, $16 off bottom end of our range. On Sol, 9 days still trading above our 26, great. Cloud is still green, great. Price trading above the cloud, great. Let's take a look at market cipher B. Everything's rolling over. Momentum indicators rolling over. Momentum wave rolling over. Money flow starting to inwardly curve. That's it. Could be seen as a positive sign. VWAP still extending. VWAP is getting pretty low. This is the VWAP is, let me just drop a horizontal here. We haven't seen the VWAP tap this low since October of last year, which, let's see, October of last year, it marked a bottom. Look at that. Let's drop a vertical on October of last year. Right there. Okay. Let's take a look. Yeah, that marked a bottom, my friends. Right? Overextended VWAP down to the lows that we saw in October, marked a bottom in October. Will it mark a bottom now? Potentially. I think the overall sentiment of the market has to change. You gotta remember, this is where the bullish momentum really started. So we have some confluence in terms of sentiment, timing, and actual indication and fundamentals on the Bitcoin. I can just grab one of these and put it in my wallet. So, will it mark a bottom? Now, the one thing I will note, at that time, price was kind of in no man's land, right? It was in the cloud. We kind of came into this W pattern. Big leg down, came in, failed to make a high, double bottom, came back, retested our 9 and our 26 day, and then it was off to the races. And from that point, Solana rallied 90%. And where we are now, will we bottom? If we do get down to $200, potentially, but we've already been in a very clear uptrend really since July of this year. 158, local high currently of around 254. But the one thing Solana has going for it is obviously everything can move up on speculation, but things move up also obviously due to utility and actual use case, and well, Solana has that too. So that's Solana. So Solana waiting for a potential long, nothing really to short. Let's actually, one more thing. Let's check the lower time frames. 30-minute wants to flip bullish, 1 hour bearish, 10-minute bearish, 5-minute coming into a flag bearish. Did we check the 30? 30 is probably going to flag as well, right? Probably going to come back up to around 217 and see a washout if this plays out. To around 211, right? So almost at that level. But we have 214 is a key level here as well. As we saw, price wick down. Actually, if you take the wick, and I talk and I kind of think out loud so you guys can see that, right? Wick down here, liquidity grab at 212. Probably should see the same thing. We had a oh, look at that liquidity grab, 221. Liquidity grab at 221, push the price down. Again, probably going to end up flagging. This also looks a little bit like a Bart Simpson. Should see more downside. But again, this is a 30-minute, so just keep that in mind. 1 hour looks like it's going to flag. 2 hour might have bottomed on the 2 hour. We'll see. A little bit of a spinning top. Last time we kind of had that similarity, although these wicks were a lot larger. Let me get rid of those. Although this wick was a lot larger, you know, similar structure here, right? Big price action down. Big wick to the downside, medium wick to the upside. Price closed higher than it opened and closed close to where it opened. And we're kind of seeing some similar here. Big wick to the downside, medium wick to the upside. Price currently, 42 minutes left. Price currently at where it opened. So that could be another bottom signal on the 2 hour time frame. So something just to keep. All right. I am done streaming. If you guys want to support the channel, there's tons of links below. We really use two exchanges, Buy DeFi and Weeks. There's benefits and drawbacks to both. With Buy DeFi, you get access to our Discord. That if you just join our Discord, you'll see how to do that. And then Weeks, and we're working with Weeks to do some kind of trading competition to give people some cash. So that should be fun. Anyways, guys, I love you. Thank you very much. And then make sure to join us for the morning show tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Until the next one, peace.